Well, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Doha for the final visit for this year's World Championships in the centenary year of the International Weightlifting Federation. David Goldstrom, together with 5 times Commonwealth Games champion David Morgan, and of course it's the big guys, the super heavyweights, to round everything up in a championship, David, which I think we can say in terms of lifting has been really exciting, as you see some of the personalities. Shigishev there for Russia, Glusko, his Russian teammate, Danielin, Ashot Danielin, weighed in at 167 kilos. Esen Mohammed from Egypt, just 19 years of age. Victor Skebartis, the Olympic silver medalist. And then Alexei Kolokoltsov for the Ukraine. And Pavel Nidek for Poland. But this man, Salem Jabba-Saeed for Qatar, and this man, the 2-time Olympic champion, the reigning world champion Hossein Rezazadeh, the world record holder for Iran. It could be those two who ultimately are fighting for super heavyweight glory. So, once again, a very good afternoon to you, and David, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
So, on we go, and it's Pavel Nidek for Poland to get us underway here. Well, welcome back. Apologies for that. We just lost contact with you, I believe. Pavel Nidek here on the opening lift, 182 kilos for this very experienced Pole, 32 years of age. Nidek, who's yet to win a major, either at European or world level. He's come close on a couple of times.
I think the trouble with Nidek is that he's very, very good in the clean and jerk. He's been as high as 250, and he's brought his snatch up in recent years, but still not enough to really feature as an overall contender.
And the bar going to 185, and just to whet your appetite, 213 is the world record of Hossein Rezazadeh for the clean, for the snatch, 263 for the clean and jerk, total of 472.5. That's the overall world record. Obviously we'd love to see him close to that. I have to say, a couple of years ago in Vancouver, the last World Championships, he really wasn't pushed that hard, and he managed to win it with about I think it was 457, which was extremely modest. So Kolokoltsov for 185 kilos, and this should be pretty comfortable for this man, who weighed in today at 121 kilos, which is just about on par for what he usually weighs. Yeah, the first bit was the nervous bit, then he had the confidence to drive up.
Yeah, it's not a perfect lift, but it's good enough, and it's a score on the board. So these men already lifting in excess of 400 pounds in the very early stage of this competition, for those of you who still like to work in old money.
There was a B group earlier today. Dimitrios Papagadidis of Greece was the best of the bunch, totaled up 411. which he achieved with a snatch lift of 185 and a clean and jerk of 226. So now Egypt, Ehsan Mohammed, 12th in the world in Vancouver in 2003, the same year, incidentally, that he won the Junior Worlds with a total of 405 kilos. And this is the, in terms of age, the baby of the class at 19. But not in terms of weight, 148.56 kilos of him.
Well, it's not strength, it's technique on that occasion. Just taking the shoulders back a little bit too far at the top of the pull and just putting that backward momentum on the bar. The idea, of course, is to pull it straight up and then sit straight under it, and the temptation at the top of the pull is to lean, because it gives you that sort of little bit extra. But of course, if you do that, that's exactly what happens.
Can you imagine what it would be like, David, to, you know, at the right time of year, in the right conditions, maybe in the early evening with the sun going down against the pyramids, or, you know, against some of those fantastic ancient
Backdrops,
Egyptian backdrops, to have a super heavyweight competition or a weightlifting competition in an amphitheater with the audience all around,
sort of Colosseum type, introduce all the athletes, have a proper announcer.
Wouldn't that just be so good?
I think it's what the sport needs. Introduce the athletes.
But I just think, you know, sort of just in that setting, in that sort of classic setting where everybody's very close, and these men and the women, you know, they're like gladiators, you know.
What would be good, actually, would be to have perhaps the smallest and the largest, so the sort of David and Goliath type competitions.
So on we go to Vladimir Glusko, 187 kilos on the bar. But this man, who was 8th in Europe, and he's picking up 2 kilos more than what he finished with in Europe as his starter. So maybe the 29-year-old Russian. Well, that didn't get anywhere near where it needed to get.
No, it didn't get enough height on the bar to fix it on locked arms. So perhaps being a little bit ambitious as an opener anyway.
Well, what I think is quite interesting, David, is that Skebartis, who's an old warhorse, and Rezazadeh, the defending champion, and also Jabba of Qatar, all 3 of those men entered a total of 450, and they look to be the main protagonists. But, you know, anything can happen, so the most important thing for these men is to get the lifts in. So Nidek taking a 5 kilo increment here. And as you say, this is 187 up. He did 190 in Athens, so he's getting closer to his previous best marks. And technically, that's great.
Yes, this really is the lift that he needs to work on if he's going to ever really be a contender on the overall. He's really got to bring this up, and to be fair, in recent years he has done. He's gradually sort of creeping up on the snatch.
Yeah, a couple of times in Europe he's finished as runner-up, but at world level, Olympic level, 6th, 7th, which is very respectable. But it's just must be also so frustrating to be, you know, to be facing, like in his time, you know, the likes of Chumurkin and now Hossein Rezazadeh.
Well, I think the thing about the snatch lift is that it's about speed, technique as well as strength, whereas the clean and jerk you can kind of get away with just being really, really strong, and he's obviously an extremely strong man. He's just lacking in that sort of power phase, that speed strength phase.
But that's a recovery there for Glusko. So gets 187, but of course now, having used 2 of his 3 lives in this first half of the competition, and a bit more buzz around the sports hall today, as you often get with the super heavyweights. I don't know what your competition of the week is. Depends how this unfolds, but I'm still going to nominate as competition of the week the fight between the Chinese woman Liu Xunhong and Zabolotnaya and Podobedova of Russia in the women's 75 as the best championship fight. So
that was probably the best women's competition ever in terms of the fact that there were 3 women there who sadly should have all won. Really, I mean, each one of them deserved to win, and obviously there can only be one winner. But I mean, how many times did the world record go?
Yeah, I think.
How many times did the lead change hand? I mean, it was a great women's competition to watch.
Dynamite competition, and certainly for me, overall, the women have taken the major honours in terms of performance this week. But there's still a chance for the big boys. Of course, everybody's hoping that one day Razazadeh arrives in the mood to try and push for 500. Magic total of kilos, but 472.5 to 500 is a long way.
Oh yeah, even for a man of that size, we're talking huge jump.
Kolokoltsev runs into trouble, the Ukrainian.
No, I'm not surprised. His first attempt on 185 was looked pretty close to the limit, so that lift of 189 is being ambitious.
He does have 195 in his record book, so he's been here and beyond.
Yes, unfortunately, as with all sports, there's so many factors that can affect your performance. You can be injured in training, you could have been ill, or you could just be having a bad day. I mean, it happens, doesn't it?
Interesting little question in from Chris down in Exeter in Devon. How do all the various weightlifting disciplines, such as bodybuilding, world's strongest man, and this style of weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting, compare to each other, and which do you feel, David, out of all of these styles actually delivers the strongest man or the strongest woman? Interesting question.
Well, it's a good question, yeah, and you know, I mean, obviously I've got a you know, you'd expect me to say weightlifting, but the reality is, if you're just talking about pure strength, it's got to be strongest man or indeed powerlifting. If you're talking about speed strength, which is what we're looking at here, these men are moving these weights very, very fast. So this isn't just about strength. This is about, you can't just lift that bar off the floor slowly. You've got to move it at speed if you're going to get it overhead. Then I would say the weightlifters are the best. So the weightlifters are the most powerful. Powerlifters, strongest men, are the strongest. And then bodybuilding. Well, bodybuilding's something different. Bodybuilding, don't get me wrong, bodybuilders are incredibly strong. But that's not their goal. Their goal is to get on the stage and look the best in terms of definition and symmetry. And one of the kind of ironies about bodybuilding actually is that when a bodybuilder is considered in his or her best condition, i.e. when they go onto the stage to pose, they're actually at their weakest, because they've spent weeks and weeks dieting to lose every last ounce of fat, and they're dehydrated before they go up there. So generally bodybuilders are stronger in the off season, but they're all strong athletes. But in answer to your question, I would say powerlifters, strong men, got the edge on the strength. Weightlifters got the edge on the speed, strength, the power, and bodybuilders, well, bodybuilders are strong people.
Good answer. Thanks, thanks, Chris. I hope that gives you a view. As you saw there, Kolokoltsev bombing out on 189, but he does have 185, so he still has the chance for a total. And now back to Ehsan Mohammed for Egypt.
Yeah, interesting character. Missed 185 because he leaned back on the weight, so decided that it was technical, and he doesn't want to waste his time taking that again, taking a 5 kilo jump to 190, and unfortunately made exactly the same mistake.
and now puts himself on extra pressure, because I think he's going to have to follow himself here. It would be foolish. 190, you know, he is young, and so it's no surprise to me that he's moving up and trying the bigger weights.
Well, I think the only consolation is that he did exactly the same with that as he did with the 185. So in theory, if it had been 185, he'd have done exactly the same. So, you know, the fact that it was 190 really makes no difference, because it wasn't as if he wasn't able to get the bar to arm's length. So he's just going to have to go back. His coaches are going to have to tell him to stand up with the weight rather than lean back on it.
So Pavel Nidek looking for 3 out of 3. Vladimir Glusko, president of the European Weightlifting Federation, in the audience, and hoping, I guess, like a lot of people, that Pavel will have a good competition here, because it hasn't been too joyful for the Polish contingent this week.
Well, I think this is right on his personal best, if memory serves me correctly. And that's a shame, because he would have wanted to stay as close as he possibly could to the leaders.
Yeah, when he did the 190, which was in the Olympics, he followed up with a 240, gave him a 430, which is just about, as a total, 430. It's just about as good as he gets.
So he's kind of there or thereabouts today, isn't he?
Yeah, he looks okay, which means that, you know, maybe we're going to see, you know, better than 240 in the clean and jerk. Hope so. Be nice if we can. But now we've got to hope that this man can keep his challenge alive. But you can just going back to what we were talking about a few moments earlier, it'd be wonderful, wouldn't it? Out in Egypt in the desert, with the light fading and floodlights, and, you know, as you said, the Colosseum atmosphere, and it's sort of made for weightlifting.
Well, it's made for it, yeah. And I think maybe
instead of these sort of rather antiseptic sports halls, where, you know,
you need to create an environment and an atmosphere to make it more exciting for the spectators' point of view as well.
Yeah,
you need to make it more entertaining.
Yeah. Come on, come on, come on, come on!
Well, he just manages to hold on to it. In a way, I suppose the super heavyweight. I mean, look what wrestling did. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't into the sort of world, wrestling federation, but I mean, I remember when wrestling used to be, you know, sort of fat guys in fighting in the corn exchange, and you know, old ladies with handbags sort of battering them, and they've taken it and they've made it into something that you know, is a huge thing on television now, except just through marketing.
Except for the fact that it has a large amount of choreography and a few other things. At least what these guys are doing.
Oh, at least it's real. But yeah, but maybe we need something in the middle. I mean, I'm not suggesting that we do some choreography and some people drop some weights and others pick them up when we have them fighting on stage and that kind of thing. No, I'm just suggesting, like you, that you know, somebody takes it and does something a bit different with it.
So Glusko going for 192. It's not been a good first half for him. He's left on 187.
Daniel was bronze medal winner in this year's European Championship.
So early days in this men's super heavyweight class. The big guns yet to come out. Just to give you a little idea, Shigishev, who I think is a very good lifter if he gets it all right, could be very interesting. The Russian, who's looking for a total of 445, which is only 5 kilos below the big three. But talking of big, well, Ashot Danielin, representing Armenia, looking for a total of 445 as well. 167 kilos. Nobody weighs more than he today.
He's been struggling in recent years, though.
He got a bronze medal in the Europeans this year, but no total in the Olympics. The World Championships pretty modest, 430. I mean, he at his very best, and
he must have done around 457, I would have thought.
He has, but that's all of 5 years ago in Sofia at the Europeans. and of course he was disqualified out of the Sydney Olympics for being a bad boy, and well, he lifted 465 then. So yeah, you're right, David, you know, those days 457, 460, they're now 5 years behind him. Ranked 4th in the world coming into these championships.
There's 26 stone is his rough body weight.
Shigishev is ranked 3rd. Skebartis of Latvia ranked 2nd, and of course Razazadeh, who won the Asian Championships this year with a 460, a 200 and a 260. Now that's a few weeks ago, but if that was a tune-up for the Worlds and he does 460 in the Asian Championships, maybe 470, maybe something around the world record marks are on. You never know.
But it must be nice to see the top men all on form. So, you know, as opposed to a sort of Razazadeh walkover.
We don't want to see we don't want to see what we had in Vancouver when he, you know, sort of won it with 457 or 457.5, because that's too soft. So Ashot really focusing here. Well done. They really focused on that. So it gets him on his way. And I've got to say, it is the best crowd of the championships. The upper tiers are full, but it's not a hall that's designed for weightlifting. David Riggott, in charge of the Russians, just with his back to you. That's the situation in the ante-room. And here's the former Bulgarian, Said Jabasalem. And well, this is a man who has been world champion, was world champion in 2001 when the championships were hastily reorganized to Antalya in Turkey. Total up 460. Was 4th in the Sydney Olympic Games, also total 460. Quite interesting, David, that in those early days when the Bulgarians were transferred across to Qatar, you know, that the whole squad was actually quite successful, but they've not been so successful in recent times. Because, to put this into context, he was 2nd to Razazadeh in the recent Asian Championships, 422 to Razazadeh's 460.
Yeah, but it's what we've sort of touched on throughout the whole championships, and what, you know, we've discussed many times. To be good at weightlifting, you need everything. You need the right genetics, you need the motivation, but you also need the backup. And they've probably got the genetics. They're probably fairly motivated, but whether or not they've got the backup here that they had in Bulgaria is another question.
Well, he's got the first one. Well, it surely can't lack motivation to be lifting on his own home stage, or adopted stage as it is now. It's a 195. So just having a look at that, that's 5 kilos up on what he achieved in the Asian Games. So good start, but he is, at best, we'd be looking for 210. And if he really wants to take on Razazadeh, he's got to absolutely, I think, get to 205. Now Skebartis, real character. Victor Skebartis, the Olympic silver medalist, the world bronze medalist in 2003. And this his beginning. Again, he's a pretty consistent 200 man, 205. Representing Latvia, 31 years of age. Just under 140 kilos his weigh-in a couple of hours ago. I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, pretty solid start.
A good lift for Skebartis. 196 kilos on the bar.
There's quite a lot of enthusiasm for strongman competitions and strong men altogether around the Baltic states, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia. Interestingly, a little message in from Mantas in Lithuania. I think he was as disappointed as we were with Vyšniauskas yesterday, but he pointed out that he's actually hosting the #1 TV show in Lithuania, so he was curious as to whether that had actually taken the edge off him, but can't really believe that it did.
Hosting the #1 TV show?
Yeah, it doesn't actually, Mantas doesn't actually say what the show is, but he says it's the most popular show in Lithuania. So tell us more. Celebrity Big Brother in Lithuania or something. Right.
The X Factor. Now he's going to have to work. He's really going to have to get that concentration that he had on that second attempt, which he does.
Oh, that's good. So the first failure was a really a decent wake-up call for him. But 196 does put him into the lead, but he's the heaviest, as I've emphasised 2 or 3 times, so in that regard he's up against it. 196. Nidek, who finished on 195, Kolokoltsev only got 1 in, he's on 185. Glusko disappointing on 187. But now, this for me is the dark horse if he's on form. Dark horse, maybe not for the goal, but for a a podium medal.
He's sort of in, he's between a rock and a hard place, isn't he? Because he weighs 125 kilos, so he's 20 kilos too heavy for the 105 kilo class, but he's really too light for this class, and he's giving away 40 odd kilos to the man that was just on the stage, which is not an easy thing to do. But that's the most impressive lifting we've seen today.
And this is that's exactly what I was hoping for, David, because all too often I've seen him have a poor start and the confidence drains out of him and he doesn't get back into it. Now with 200 on the board, let's just hope he can build, because I think if he can, then it could be quite exciting. Because you're looking at the the world record's 213. I'm not suggesting he's going to get to 213, but the more men like him who now start putting their lifts in, the more it's going to push Razazadeh.
Yeah, of course the sad thing is that he on body weight in this class, he is easily the best lifter. But of course, as we mentioned with the women's super heavyweights, unfortunately, super heavyweight is super heavyweight.
But look at this absolute pandemonium. Iranian fans here aplenty. Not too many chances to see the big man. But here he comes for 201. The world and Olympic, and for good measure, the Asian champion, sprightly onto the stage. 20 seconds.
Just needs to get a move on.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen him come on with a little bit more. Good as he is, champion as he is, this will just be unnecessarily rushed. Counting down.
Just a little look at the clock now. Tighten up.
So strong is this man that he can deal with that, but he shouldn't make a habit of it, even though he is.
No, the coaches need to really be on the ball. But I've got a sneaky suspicion that after getting that one on the board, he could be following himself. He could be just waiting now until all the others are finished.
He just is so impressive. 27 years of age, 164 kilos 60. He's the second heaviest. But he's, as you can see, the way that he sort of, went up onto the stage, athletic. So now Qatar, 6 kilo increase. This is Scabbard beginning to go after him.
I have to say though that again, you know, the Bulgarians and the Qatar lifters, the ex-Bulgarians, they all look down. They all look kind of depressed. They're all walking onto the platform in the same kind of depressed, sort of subdued manner, and I haven't seen them like this before.
Yes, I think subdued is perhaps more accurate than depressed, because can't really tell how his mind is. But you know, if he lifts this, he will take a big boost of confidence. Yeah, good. And that was better than the first.
That was good. Yeah, nice technique, good speed.
Now he must have 205 in his mind. This is where he's got to be careful. There's just, you know, if Razazadeh is in the sort of form that I think he is, the danger for these guys is to chase too hard at the wrong moment. I mean, to a large extent, whatever they do, they're still hoping that there's a weakness in Razazadeh. Now, Victor, also going for 201. Now, Victor weighed in at 139.55, which means he's heavier than Scabbard. So he would go into 3rd place.
Second place.
Going to 2nd place, yes, because
Razazadeh's heavier.
Heavier, yeah. Sorry. And again, an improvement.
Yes, he's got the confidence and the experience to just stay in that low position for as long as he needs.
Well, this is, you know, fingers crossed, this is beginning to unfold, David, as we would hope, which is, you know, good lifting. They're all lifting at the moment well within themselves. It just depends on who's going to make the first, you know, breakaway move. I think 205 is going to be a popular choice.
Well, I was going to say 202 has been called, but I'm sure that nobody wants 202. So 6 snatches left in this men's super heavyweight final to decide the 3 medals.
For the snatch, which is only, of course, the halfway stage of the competition, but moving nicely. Look at Skebartis there, 125 kilos versus 164 kilos. Really isn't fair, is it? And as you said, David, the coaches have got to get their act together. You get away with it once at the lightweight, but you know, as the bar goes up, you know, even though you are...
Well, he's out there ready now. Yeah. Sitting out there, you know, ready, waiting. I don't think anybody's going to come out. I think, well, Scabbard's coming out.
Oh,
it's 203.
203. That surprises me. But he knows, so the coaches know what he's capable of. This 203, though, David, does represent a 13 kilo increase on his Asian Championship performance, so that's nothing to be sneezed at. But it leaves him 7 kilos short of his personal best. But they may, in their own way, have decided that overall silver is what they want, what they think they can get.
Or maybe they're lifting to their abilities. You know,
yeah.
there is a certain weight that you can go to, and they believed that was the maximum that he could do. So I think they perhaps chose wisely.
Yeah, the disappointment for that, though, is it's 201. That's where he finishes.
Yeah, so leaves him in 2nd at the moment by virtue of lighter body weight, but of course there's still...
Interesting though, Salam weighed in at 125.30, Skebartis 125.77, so that's just something to keep an eye on.
Skebartis on the next.
Now Rozazadeh 205. So still Shigishev to come out, and he'll have 2 left. Skebartis has got 1. And assuming that Hossein picks this up, he'll have 1 to go after this. I think he's beginning to enjoy this.
Well, I think he thinks he's won it already, but I mean,
No,
he hasn't won the snatch yet.
no, he hasn't.
He is in first place, though.
No, but I think what I detected there, David, was a self-good feeling.
I'm on fire. I'm on fire. That's a phrase we've been using all week.
I think the thing that makes this man special for me, apart from his huge strength, is that, you know, he is fast. He does move the bar with speed.
Well, this is what I was saying when you were talking. You know, we were talking about who is the strongest athlete. Weightlifting is a power event. I mean, obviously you need to be immensely strong to stand up with these huge weights, but you need those fast twitch fibers as well.
So, to go into the lead on his last attempt, Viktor Skebartis of Latvia. Very important, because whatever happens, this will keep him in touch with the overall fight. So,
and put some pressure back on Rozazadeh as well.
Absolutely. So, for Latvia, come on, Viktor. That's a pity. That is a real pity, because he drops down on 201, and that leaves him down there with Jabba. Okay, so he's 4 kilos down now on Rozazadeh. 2 men left with lifts.
Yes, the fight now is between Rozazadeh and
the second heaviest.
Yes,
and the second lightest.
Second lightest.
Yeah.
But Rozazadeh only has 1 lift.
Shigishev has got to. Well, Shigishev's got to go 205. Got to go 205.
Got to go 205, yeah, because this would put him in. Wow.
209.
Put the pressure on. It's interesting, actually, because 205 would have put him into the lead on lighter body weight.
Yeah.
So he must feel confident about this, because actually this is if he fouls it twice, it was a stupid move, because it was 4 kilos more than he needed to win the gold medal.
Yeah.
So perhaps he knows something that we don't. Perhaps he's got a world record in the back of his mind.
He's only got a 200, so he'd lose a bronze as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, he'd have no medal at all.
Yeah.
Whereas 205 would have put him straight into guaranteed silver and possible gold.
And keeps him closer in terms of the contact of kilos. Come on!
But he's got different ideas. Look at that.
Oh, fantastic. Yevgeny Shigishev, European silver medalist, 205 earlier this year in Sofia, now 209.
So what's Rozazadeh going to do? He's on fire.
He's got to go 210.
He's got to go 210 at least.
Yeah. Now, 213 is his own snatch world record. I've got a feeling Shigishev, whatever, is going to have a crack at something here.
Well, there's a possibility. Maybe he's going to go for... Look at the speed. Maybe he's going to go for 214. Who knows? That would be something else, wouldn't it?
Well, it really would. That's about it's about as animated as it gets. Now, that tells you a lot about Shigishev's condition, because when you see David Riga like that, you know that these guys think the game's on. They have prepared for this. 210 it is. Russia versus
Shigishev's
Iran.
played it well, because he's made Rozazadeh come out and use his 3rd attempt up, which means that he knows that all he's got to do to take the gold medal
is 211.
210. No, 210.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what he takes, well, where I think if Rozazadeh misses this, Shigishev will go for 214 for the world record. I think if he gets it, Shigishev will come out and do the 210, or try it.
Lots of tactics, because you've got to think about the clean and jerk as well. Oh, he's not missed it. Asked and answered. Wonderful stuff, wonderful stuff. Hossein Rezazadeh, but
It's not over.
and we're only still in the first half. So now the situation is that he has a 1 kilo advantage over Yevgeny Chigashev. But now the man who's got 3 out of 3, the man who's looking to defend his title, of course,
211 kilograms.
world champion in Vancouver, world champion before that in Poland, Asian champion, double Olympic champion.
Yevgeny Chigashev.
He's very good actually, Rezazadeh, because he does contend, he does appear, he does defend, you know, he does lift. Of course, that's what people want. They want to see champions. So Chigashev,
Well, this would be
head or heart?
phenomenal.
211. So 211, which is arguably, because he's lighter than Rezazadeh, worth 212. Well, can he do 2 extra kilos? If he does, this is 6 kilos up on what he did in Europe.
Well, this is David and Goliath, isn't it?
It'll look over there at the clock. Settles down. Has got to put Rezazadeh out of his mind. He's got to focus on what he has to do. Great speed.
Needs to hold, needs to hold.
Oh, that's so good. Would you give that?
Oh, definitely. Superb.
Good lift. Rezazadeh, only second. Interestingly enough, he was only second in Vancouver, but this is a different fight. A totally different fight. So Yevgeny Chigashev, who weighed in at 125.77 kilos, produces 3 exemplary snatch efforts there and takes his personal best to 211 and a 1 kilo advantage over Hossein Rezazadeh. And those 2 men are steamed away from the rest, because the rest are left on, as you can see, 201 and less. So Russia lead Iran, then Qatar, but Qatar are 9 kilos behind the Olympic champion Skebartis. Likewise, they're now facing possibly a fight between themselves for the bronze medal, to let Chigashev and Rezazadeh fight it out amongst themselves. But Chigashev, well, can he do in the clean and jerk what he's just delivered in the snatch? Because he tends to be a man around 240, 242, whereas Rezazadeh is consistently 250 and more. Well, cracking first half to this final championship. We'll be back for more after this.